American South. He's always there, fighting for freedom over land and air. G.I. Joe!
Hello everybody, Mac here. Welcome back to the show. What we are taking a look at today is one that I've been sitting on for a while. This is the Hasbro G.I. Joe Classified Series Dreadnok Ripper. This is my favorite Dreadnok of the club. As a matter of fact, this was the first Dreadnok I owned other than Zartan when I was a kid from the vintage line. There were just things about this character that I loved. There were things about the figure that I loved that I really hope translated over to the Classified series, which, from everything that I've seen, it has, and I cannot wait to get this one open. But before we do that, let me just remind you all to do all the YouTube things. Please like, comment, subscribe. For the past few months, ever since I've started asking you guys to do that, the interaction has increased. There have been more likes. There have been more comments. The videos have gotten out there in the algorithm. The subscriber base has gone up nearly daily. And I thank you all for that. I couldn't be doing this without you. Also, don't forget to check out my Ko-fi page, where there is some exclusive content there. And we are working on building a group of collectors where we can all get together and talk about this crazy hobby of ours. Also, one more thing before we continue, that if you remember the podcast, Ralph World, that me and Uncle Britt host, it is coming back. If you were a fan of that, if you listened to that, it will be going back up on Spotify this coming Friday, and then on YouTube, the video will drop. I will leave a link to the podcast in the description below. Now, on with Ripper. This is fantastic. This is the first Dreadnok other than Zartan and Zarana that I'll be opening up, and I am really excited about it. I love everything about this picture. Things like this are why I'm really going to miss the windowless packaging for the Classified series. Look at this whole diorama. Look at this story that they're telling. Which, first of all, we have Ripper right here. There's grape soda spread across what I'm assuming is the garage, the floor of the garage, because you got an old fan, an old box fan up here, gas tanks over here. You can see the Cobra logo. He has a drum kit right here, which I love the color of the drum kit, this blue, and then you can kind of see right there was the edge of the Cobra. I really like the drum kit, but Ripper didn't play drums, he played the keyboard. We can forgive that, because then you have the amp back there. Like I said, you got the grape soda. And then you have a chopper up here, this bright orange chopper, which is awesome because, as it just so happens, Ripper's going to have a bike when it's all said and done. I've been saving this for him. I can't wait to open that up and get him on it. Now, we also have a really good picture of Ripper over here. His accessories, all of his gear up here. On the side, 102 in the series, there's the QR code. On this side, look at the craziness. Look at this crazy dude. I love this. This looks fantastic. On the back, picture of the figure, more images of his accessories, and some highlights of the figure with his tattoos and his earrings. Up top, the G.I. Joe logo. On the bottom, the barcode. So without further ado, let's rip this open. And no pun intended. Let's rip this open and let's take a look at Hasbro G.I. Joe Classified Series Ripper. And remember, if you want one of your own, you can get him at Entertainment Earth. Entertainment Earth is your one-stop shop for all toys, clothing, collectibles, and more. Get the newest from Hasbro, Mattel, Bandai, and Super 7, as well as exclusives that can't be found anywhere else. With over 25 years in the business, Entertainment Earth has what you want. Click the link in the description below. Okay, here he is, my man Ripper, out of the box, and putting the tape measure to him, we can see that he is approximately 6.5 inches tall to the top of his hock. Look at this dude. Like, what else is there for me to say? Just look at this psychonaut. This dude is fantastic. The camo tank top, the jeans, the boots. This is so much the Ripper that I remember, and then some. Why and then some? Because with this Ripper, focus in. With this Ripper, you can take the glasses off, and you can see he has a glass eye. And I don't know if you're catching this on camera, But to me, and my eyes aren't what they used to be, but to me, it looks like there's a smiley face in there. And that is just fantastic. I love it. Now, in the vintage figure, the mohawk was cut to sort of look like a Cobra's hood flared, or like a Cobra with an open hood. It's not quite that way because the mohawk is pretty much straight on, but I think they were trying to replicate that. How you can see that, like, it's not exactly like shaved down right here, that I think this is supposed to represent like the open Cobra hood. So he still has that as well. He has the pineapple grenades. He has the dog tags around his neck that I was never really sure. Those aren't dog tags now that I'm looking at them. Are those razors? I think those are those are razors because he also has a razor here, it looks like, for an earring. It's not quite silver like it showed on the back of the box, but I think that earring might be like an old razor blade. And then he has them around his neck because those aren't dog tags. That's wild. Then he has the spikes on the shoulders of his holster. He has this spiked armband that is a loose piece, and you do kind of gotta stretch it around his bicep. Then he has like the spiked wrist bracelet right here. So many spikes. The chain wallet. Like, oh, you don't know how much that means to me that they included that. Plus he has the tats coming down here on the side. He has the tat work on his arm. He has the tat up here on his shoulder, which is great. Oh man, do I love this guy. Man, do I love this. Check out the boots. They're sort of like moccasin style boots right here with this piece of leather that would come up where the laces would be. Oh, do I love this. Ah, this crazy. And then the hawk comes down to this ponytail right here. This crazy Aussie right here. Oh, let's get to the articulation. The head can do a full 360 spin, but he has so much gear that his beard and his tail kind of get caught on the spikes, and then his necklace o' blades wants to turn with him. He can look up amazingly well for having this ponytail right here, and he can kind of look down, and he has some tilt. He tilts more that way than he does the other way. The arms will do a full 360 spin. There is a butterfly joint. They will come up to just over 90. Bicep swivel. Double jointed elbows with some pretty decent travel, but because, you know, Ripper's ripped, it doesn't really squeeze in there very well. This wrist pivots and hinges in and out. This wrist pivots, and this is his trigger hand. It hinges up and down, which I'm always happy to see the weapon-wielding hand hinge up and down. Now you can tell right there that he has the ab cut, that he can crunch forward. He can crunch back, and when he does, unfortunately they didn't continue the camo pattern, so you do just get this big empty green spot right there. He has a ball joint at the waist that he can do a full 360 spin. The ball joint will lean back some, the ball joint will lean forward some, and he has some rock side to side. Drop down hips, that the legs will come out forward, legs will go back, legs can come out to the side, almost to 90. A thigh cut. Double jointed knees with some really decent travel. Boot cut. Ankles rock back. Ankles rock forward. And they have a forward facing pin for some rocker. And I just want to take one more look at them. Like, even the colors of this are so much what I remember from the vintage figure. Maybe the green being a little bit darker. This is one of the instances where I feel like I don't mind that they mimicked the vintage figure so closely. I mean, it's the Dreadnoks. Their look is timeless. Like, this look was street gang, was biker, like, in the 80s just as much as it is now. And it's fantastic. Then with the blue jeans and everything. And, like, you know, the street armor knee pads. It's just really great. I'm really excited to have this guy in my collection again. So as far as accessories go, the first thing we're going to take a look at is his shades right here, because Ripper needs his shades. He's just not complete without them. I love that they're wraparound in red, just like they were, just like I remember them. this looks great. And what's even better is I've put them on him already, that when you snap them on, well, not snap them on, but when you fit them on him, it fits perfectly, like holds perfectly over the ears, over the bridge of the nose, over this ear. Like, I hope Doc's glasses fit this well, because Sarge's don't seem to fit as good as, or as well as this. And then Baroness's, the ones that you can take off, they have like the slots that you have to slide them into. But with this fits real well, real tight, and it looks good. Like, it looks like, especially from the front, that they should be molded on there. It has a nice tight fit to him. I really like that. What else do we got in here? Okay, we have his dagger, which I don't think the dagger was a separate accessory with the vintage figure, but I do remember it being in his chest holster right here, or the chest sheath right here, and that fits in real well like that. I remember that look. A little bit smaller, but I remember that look. I don't think that was an additional accessory with the vintage figure, if I remember correctly. Oh, and they did do something that I absolutely love, that they painted the blade. The blade has that nice burnished metal look to it, while the handle is just molded in this plastic. I would have liked to have seen this maybe, I'm being picky here, I know, but I think it would have been really cool if this would have been molded in sort of like a brass or a bronze, and then the handle would have been like wood stained or something, so that like it doubled as brass knucks in addition to the knife. But that's just me, and maybe that will be a custom paint job. But Mac's not good at painting. What else do we got in here? Okay, we got this pistol. This pistol is okay. It has the serrated blade on the bottom of it. I don't know what this is, if this is supposed to be something real, but it doesn't really... It's very thin, too. And quite honestly, when you put it in his hand, it doesn't look like much when he's holding it. See that? Like, I'm glad he has a pistol. I'm glad they gave him a pistol. It'll be good for like popping off some rounds while he's riding, but it just doesn't, I don't know. It just doesn't look beefy enough, but it does fit very well into his side holster right there. And you can see the blade tip coming out the bottom. Next up, we have one of the things that I really loved in the vintage figure, and that was this rifle. I do not think this is modeled after anything real. As a matter of fact, whoop, stand back up, Ripper. Had too much grape soda. As a matter of fact, when I was a kid, I thought this was a modification of like the laser rifle, you know, the G.I.Joe laser rifle, because it looks like this and this looks like that. And it looked like he just put a scope on it, slapped a clip in there, and gave it this big, gnarly bayonet. I don't know, I may be wrong about that, but I always thought that as a kid. I don't think this is a real weapon. I think it's something they made just so that the Dreadnoks had these like unique, just sort of gimmick weapons, and I'm fine with that. The magazine does pop out of the gun. I think it pops out a little too easily, because while I was playing with it, the magazine kept falling out. Sort of like how Snow Job's sniper rifle, the magazine kept falling out. So I may need to get some blue tack or something, or maybe even just glue it up in there. But he looks so good holding it. He does. That looks great. Oh man, Ripper's back. And then the other thing that I like is that you have this peg right here on the back of his harness. You see that? You have this, you have this peg right here on the back of his harness, so that you can just pop it through the trigger guard, and he can shoulder his weapon like he has it slung. You can have it pointing down, or you can have it pointing up. I'm going with it pointing down. It just looks better. Right there. And then finally, the coup de grace. His big Horkin jaws of life. And these look great. look at the sculpt and the motor. Look at the detail work, how you have the air filter on this side. You have the spot right here that would probably be the ripcord if this had a ripcord. I'm pretty sure this is just press a button and it starts up. And then he has this giant exhaust port on the back. Now, I know there have been complaints because on the vintage figure, he had a big backpack that hooked up to this. And I don't know if like that was the hydraulics and the motor of it. But I do think modern Jaws of Life are compact now. That like, well, as compact as Jaws of Life can be. That like you don't need like an outboard pack for it. I'm pretty sure now it's all one unit like this. Please, if there's any fire and rescue, if there's any EMS watching, please tell me if I'm wrong. But I thought the new version of them was a more compact, self-contained system. Unlike the vintage toy, the Jaws of Life on this do open up. As a matter of fact, they fold way back. You can see that there's like tongue and groove jaws right there, so that when you move one, the other one moves. And that looks cool. I really wanted them to work when I was a kid. I would use these things a lot with Ripper. I can't even imagine what for, but Ripper used them a lot. And now if you'll give me a moment, let's get this in his hand. And there we go. So cool. So cool. I'm a kid again. I don't remember if the vintage figure, if I was able to get him into like a two-handed grip with the Jaws of Life, or if he just sort of like stiff-armed them, like Clamp Champ. But this looks great. Oh, Ripper's back. And now for size comparison, here he is beside Hasbro G.I. Joe Classified Series Rock and Roll and Gung Ho wearing the Valaverse Declassified kit. And I noticed just now when I was setting them up that Ripper's lower body, his crotch piece, his legs, and his boots is reused from Rock and Roll. Here he is beside the Valaverse Action Force Desert Rat and Infantry Commando. Here he is beside Hasbro Marvel Legends Captain Marvel and Lady Deathstrike. Here he is beside Mezco 112 Wonder Woman and DC Direct, I think it was, Cheetah. And why? Because why not? I had them out. Here he is beside Lanyard Toys, City Hunter Predator and Xenomorph Drone. Here he is beside NECA Toys, Dungeons & Dragons, Warduke and Grimsword. And finally, here's the only comparison that really matters. Here he is beside the G.I. Joe Classified Series, somewhat kit-bashed retro-carded Zartan and Zorana, his fellow Dreadnoks. So what else is there to say? Seriously, what else is there to say about this grape soda chugging Aussie that you don't already know I'm gonna say? Of course I love this figure. Of course I am excited to have this figure. I think this is a fantastic representation of Ripper from the vintage line. This is one of those times where I think it's okay to copy the vintage line because, like I said earlier, this look that he has, it's kind of timeless. Dirty timeless, but still timeless. The beard, the mohawk, the shades, the jeans, the tank top, it all works just as well now as it did back then. He was my first Dreadnok back then. He's my first Dreadnok now. I'm not counting Zorana. Zorana and Xandar kind of are above the rest of the gang. But Ripper always had a special place in my heart. I loved this guy. I liked him in the comics. I even liked him in the cartoon, and I wasn't a big fan of the cartoon. I like the articulation on him. It's everything that we've come to expect from the G.I. Joe Classified line. I like the coloring and the paint apps. The tattoo work, I think, is really well done. The glass eye, I knew they did something with his eye. I had avoided spoilers. I didn't know what it was going to be. But when I saw it's a glass eye with a freaking smiley face on it, I was cracking up because I started having flashbacks to, like, that villain in The Last Action Hero, whose name I can't remember, where, like, every time he took his glasses off, his glass eye was had a different look to it. And at one point, I think it did have a smiley face on it. If I have any criticisms of this, it's more in how certain things were executed rather than the figure itself. Like that spiked armband around his bicep. I really like that. I think that's a really nice touch. But I've always had issues with like gummy, stretchy accessories over the biceps because they keep falling off. And I feel like the more we push it up to make it tight around the bicep so it stays, the more it's going to start to stretch and loosen, and eventually it'll be useless. That it'll just keep falling off no matter what we do. Also, the clip, the magazine, how it kept falling out of the rifle, that's a little annoying. We've seen that before with some of the smaller magazines in the classified line. Like I said, Snow Job sniper rifle. I would have liked to have seen it have like maybe a deeper, tighter fit into the weapon so that it wouldn't fall out so easily. But past that, I really like the look of him, that snarly face that he has. I really like that they painted the blade of the knife. I really appreciate that. That's always one of my pet peeves when they don't do that. I like that they did that. All in all, I think this is a really solid figure. It's a great start for the Dreadnoks, and I can't wait to get the rest. I have Buzzer, I gotta open him up. We got Torch coming down the line, and we know Xandar is on his way. He was a name-only release, haven't seen him yet, but there's gonna be more Dreadnoks. Oh, Nagahide, I almost forgot about Nagahide. He's coming too. So, until we get more Noks, my friends, play well, stay safe, stay healthy, keep rocking, and as always, thank you for watching.